This cap confuses me because when I look at the camera, it doesn't look like it's centered on my head.
I think your head's just crooked.
But it's because I'm not.
That looks better than it did.
Is that centered on my head?
I think so. Either that or your head's not quite perfect.
I know it is. I'm looking this way a lot, and it just,
The hog is crooked.
it's just
No, that's definitely crooked.
okay. That is just so weird to me. I guess I need to quit looking at that.
You're going to be looking out the corner of your eye.
Welcome to Mike the Baptist. You can say MTB.
I want my MTB.
That's also in the Baptist hymnal, Mike the Baptist hymnal. We did that once. Were you here when we did that?
I may have suggested that.
I'm sure you did.
Because that's every time I hear Mike the Baptist.
It may have been, I think it was Jason Riccardi that was here because I think we had to play I Want My MTV for him so he could hear how it went. Speaking of dating yourself.
That may should be your theme song.
What? I Want My MTB? Well, I thought humorously for a second when we did that as a hymn, people would be calling up saying, whoa, hey, yeah, I heard the MT. That's cool. Not a word. Crickets. So I think Crickets is going to be the theme song. Anyway.
The Sounds of Silence.
The Sounds of Silence would work too. Welcome to the program. Welcome, Brother Hodo.
Hey, good to be back.
H.D. Jones, preacher friend of mine. And that's it. Welcome back. Neil Andrews.
Yes, sir.
Also a friend of mine, music preacher kind of guy.
Thank you.
I always get confused on a title for you, but you're in the chair and you're here. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Mike the Baptist. Together we're going to present a little podcast. We hope you're watching. We need more views. We just need more views. I mean, I don't understand quite how you increase your following on YouTube. I know there's a trick to it, but I'm not good at tricks. I'm just like, here it is. You want to watch it? But I understand you need to do some other promotion or something. So if somebody has some input on that, let me know. Because I do think some more folks might find it interesting if they.
I bet if you put the word naked right at the beginning of it, you'd get a lot of people.
About a year ago, I did try to do a little experiment. And in the title of the programs, I would put a hashtag and a word. Mm-hmm. Do you know which episode had the most views when I was doing that? Lobster. I put the word lobster in one, and for whatever reason, a lot of people watched that one. I still don't understand it.
What was that country song? I thought a lobster, and then I floundered.
Yeah, but anyway, so it was funny because when I did a little search during that period of time for the word lobster, all these boiled lobster recipes and lobster videos, and then there in the middle of some of those would be Mike the Baptist with you guys' face on there. It was just funny. Maybe I'll go back to that. But I have been changing the titles once again. One friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, told me one time, you need to put the scripture reference in all of them. And I'm going like, it's a program that is designed to get away from traditional kind of stuff in the hopes that other people might pay attention. So I thought to put a scripture in there, I don't want to run anybody off who might accidentally stumble on this and be, So I've started putting titles, kind of reference things in the front porch. Like last week's title, I don't know if you saw it, it was Don't Drink the Lemonade. In honor of your uncle sticking his arm in the cooler stirring the lemonade. So I'm toying now with those kind of phrases, and we'll see what happens. Where were we?
So your ultimate goal is to slip people the Mickey. We don't want you to know we're talking about the Bible, but
yes,
bam, you got the Bible.
Slip up on you.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Well, no. Last week we talked a lot about worship and all that, and there are people that if you use a word like worship, they're not coming in your building. I'll just tell you. They will come in for other things. So that's my little sly take on what we're up to here. Hope we
Chili cook-off.
Chili cook-offs, stuff like that. People will come to that.
Mm-hmm.
Men will come. Food. You make some food, men will come. Smoke some meat, the men will be there.
That would be
yes
the Whistle Britches Award.
That'll be the Whistle Britches, which was another conversation we had in the green room one time. You go Google it yourself, because I don't want to bring it up and talk about it again. But the word Whistle Britches was used in the green room, and I foolishly said, I wonder where that word came from. You Google it yourself. We've got things to do here. Anyway.
Seems like it would fit right in, but
it would. www.mikethebaptist.com. Videos, merchandise, podcast links, stuff like that. Send us an email at comments@mikethebaptist.com. Still waiting on your questions for the people that appear on this program so that I can ask them and they can give foolish answers.
Did you not get any questions after last week's episode?
I have not checked the email since the last episode.
Well,
how's that?
I like that.
Thought you were sneaking up on me, didn't you?
Hey,
you did, but
I saw it come over your face.
Yes, you did there for a second. I felt it come over. Anyway, glad you're here. Glad you came back to spend a little time with us. And some of you get up early in the morning and spend time with us. Appreciate that. Some of you spend time with us on your drive to and fro work and mowing yards and stuff. We appreciate it. It's kind of like we're having company and we're not really there or something like that. Broadcast is confusing because it takes you a while to get used to just talking out into nothing. You have to get used to that, don't you? You've had experience over the years with the same thing, haven't you, Neil?
Yep.
You have to have a certain amount of craziness in you to do that, don't you?
I remember looking in one of my TV production class, having to learn how to look into the lens.
Yes.
So that you're looking, but there's nobody there.
There's nothing in there.
Yes.
It's well, now the whole camera thing was new to me, and I always wanted to be involved in video, and behind the scenes I was involved in video writing and sound and stuff. I always wanted to be involved in the camera aspect of it. So this podcast thing has helped me kind of get a taste of that, and it's a whole odd animal too to get accustomed to. I think you just have to get in all of that to where you just really don't care anymore. You just do what you do, and then
as long as you have editing capabilities,
which we do.
Yes.
Thank goodness for editing capabilities. Yes. As my friend Brother Hodo.
Yeah, we need
had a frightening look there.
We need editing. I'll guarantee you.
On the front porch today, I would like to visit with you guys about your first child being born. I'm thinking there may be some stories here, but I don't know. How many do you have, Neil? 3? And you have 3.
3.
I have 2. I think we're just basically...
You're an underachiever.
I'm an underachiever. Well, I may not be through.
Hey,
there's that.
There you go.
I was just thinking that there might be an exciting story about how it unfolded, what happened, or I'm sure something happened at the Jones house that was maybe out of the ordinary. Oh yeah, he said it already.
Oh yeah.
So why don't we just start with you, Odo, and tell us about that.
Well, such exciting times, and I got to preface by saying my wife's from Charlotte, North Carolina, so we were worried that her mom and dad needed to be able to get time to be here. They wanted to be here at the birth, the grandbaby, and all that stuff. So ended up having to schedule a C-section, which worked out pretty good for that. And Susan's mom and dad pull up in the driveway. They hadn't seen their baby girl in a few weeks. Susan is putting on the poundage. I mean, she is her favorite food.
Careful.
Her favorite food during the whole pregnancy was a bowl of cereal. So like every night she wanted a bowl of cereal, and you give them what they want at this point, And her mom gets out of the car, and Susan's so excited and meets her at the front door and opens the door, and her mom goes, "Oh, Susan, oh, Susan." But so it was quite an exciting time. But I was working at the CPA firm, and we were at this audit that we were doing, and we were all sitting around a table like this, and all of a sudden my boss looks at me and goes, yeah, you need to pack up your stuff and go home. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, your head's not in the game. You just need to go on and go home. And I'm like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, I'm sure. So I don't know if I was messing up stuff or if I don't know. I'm sure my head wasn't in the game. So I pack up my stuff and going home, and I'm thinking, you know, I need to stop and buy Susan some flowers. That would be a nice thing to do. You know, I'll stop and do that. And so I stop and I buy some flowers, and I'm driving a little 5-speed Honda Prelude. So, you know, it's got the emergency brake. So in the 5-speed, you always put the brake on. So I put the brake on. I go inside. I'm a nervous wreck, you know, just buy some flowers. I get the flowers. I get back in the car, and I drive the rest of the way home with the emergency brake on. I mean, my head was really not in the game. And then something happened with, I think the garage door broke at home or something. I mean, it was all this calamity and all that stuff. But, yeah, it definitely will rock your world a little bit.
So what time of day did the big event happen?
It was early because it was scheduled. So, yeah, it was early that morning. So, yeah, I remember the doctor, you know, of course, I would have been okay just being in the waiting room. I didn't think I needed to be in there. I mean, but, you know, Susan wanted me to be in there. You know, of course, it's a C-section. And we just talked about this at lunch the other day, you know, smells and hospitals and all that stuff. I'm like,
it's not your thing.
Not my thing.
Right.
So when they do a C-section, I mean, it smells like burnt flesh. I mean, it's just, you know, I'm kind of like, I'm sitting on the other side where I can't see everything, thank goodness, because I probably would have passed out. So they get the baby out, and the lady that's doing all the work, she looks at me and she goes, do you want to cut the cord? And I looked straight at her face and I said, do I get a discount? She said, no. And I said, well, then do your job. You know, to this day, my wife was like, well, that would have been so special. I'm like, no.
It'd been special.
It just kind of sounded nasty.
Who came up with this idea of men being in there?
I don't know.
Who came up with that?
I don't know. I like it more where you're just in the waiting room and then.
Well, I see, you know, I can kind of see the sentimentality of the whole thing, but I'm going like, you know, when I put a transmission in my truck, I don't invite the wife to be there.
Right.
Because why? Because they don't want to see that.
Right.
So anyway, I don't want to carry this conversation on too long.
Are you
because
equating a transmission with the baby being birthed?
that was probably not exactly right. Okay, how about like skinning a deer?
Oh, yeah.
So like they go, oh, I don't want to see that. What? Okay.
Wow.
Is that the end of your
Yes, I'm
first,
stopping right there.
first child's birth?
I'm going to stop
story?
right there.
That's a good place to stop for me and you both. Anyway, interesting. Okay, so I'm a little confused, but I'm not. We're going to go to Neil now to hear his story of his first.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go past the birth part of it because all of that was fairly normal.
Okay.
There wasn't anything extreme in there.
Were you in there?
No, I was not.
Okay. Just
I was with my parents and my in-laws at a Chinese restaurant. So there's
perfect. That was
nothing to
perfect.
relate.
I wondered why his name was Juan.
One of the things that stuck in my mind for so long is my first son. I remember him as, you know how before they walk without touching anything, they hold on to things. So they'll stand up and they get to the point where they'll hold on to the couch for balance, but they'll walk as far as they can. Mm-hmm. And I remember coming out into the kitchen. I don't think he was 1 yet. And he'd get around just fine, but I remember coming into the kitchen and one of the dining room chairs had been moved over to the counter and the cupboard door was open, and the third shelf up there was cereal, and he was standing on the shelf, or not the shelf, on the cupboard getting the cereal.
And he couldn't walk yet.
Out there, right.
Nice.
So I remember that. I remember the first time, this was in an older farmhouse, and the stairs were long, just and a little bit narrow, but kind of long. And I remembered watching, he was at the top of the stairs, and for some reason he fell. He rolled all the way down the
Caught
steps,
gravity.
got to the bottom of the steps.
Oh,
He didn't do anything at all. He's just laying there kind of looking around. I ran over and I went, and he went, you know, and I realized I didn't need to do that thing because he wouldn't have done that either.
because he didn't forget at all
Right.
until you freaked
He was
out.
fine. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, he's still alive, isn't he? I mean,
He has 4 of his own children. Yep.
so do you remember what time of day it was and all that?
Yeah, it was late. It was
About lunchtime. We were at the Chinese restaurant.
About lunchtime.
It was like
That's a good
you know,
story.
7 or 8. I'm saying late, but it was like
Right.
evening. Yep.
So when I'm golfing, there's a favorite thing I like to do. If you know, in Nashville, Tennessee area where we all live, people come into the Opryland Convention Center
Yes.
from all over, and a lot of times people from Japan will be at conventions there, and they will visit local golf courses
Oh,
during the day. So my home course I golf at.
Top Golf.
Most often, no, not Top Golf. I've only been there like twice, but the Legacy in Springfield, Tennessee, great golf course. But anyway, a lot of those little golf crews will show up there to golf around. So in years past, if I can't get anybody to go golf with me, I would go by myself during the week. It's less busy. So on the golf course, if you're by yourself and you come up behind a foursome in front of you, 4 people play in front of you, well, the courteous thing to do on a golf course is let the single guy play through, so he's not waiting on 4 people in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
So every time that I approach,
So were you married?
oh yeah, this is just recent
Oh, I
years.
thought you said the single guy.
Well,
Well, by himself, play by himself.
I'm just playing
That's,
with you.
that's a
Sorry.
semantic thing, whatever semantic means. But anyway, so if I come in that situation and they let me play through, I will get right up to them. I'll hit my ball, and I'll always look at them and say, "Thank you all so much for letting me play through. My wife is in labor and she's at a 9. I'm trying to get 18 in before." And it's I like to do it because of the reaction you get. Sometimes it's a very polite, and sometimes they laugh, you know. But anyway, favorite thing to do. So when my first child was born, I don't remember a whole lot about that, except it was like in the middle of the day when I got the call, my water broke. And I think she was at work. I'm pretty sure, yeah, she was at work. My water broke.
Mm-hmm.
So not having really a smartphone at the time or any internet access, I wasn't quite clear about the whole water thing. So I just recall gathering the stuff up that had been packed and, you know, prepared for this moment, getting all that together. I think I may have driven into town, picked her up and brought her back to get some stuff, or I may have just got it myself. But I can just recall the hospital was 2 hours away in Little Rock from where we live. And her mother lived down in that area, and she was involved in nursing or something anyway. But anyway, that's where we decided to do all this, 2 hours away. I could just recall, like, driving down there and wondering, should I have brought a bucket? Are you supposed to save the water?
that always stressed me out.
I didn't
I didn't want to ruin the upholstery.
Well, and I thought that
Yeah.
too, but I didn't want to say that
Well-
because, you know, worried about the car size. I was more concerned about, am I supposed to keep anything? Or, I mean, what are we supposed to show up there with? I just didn't know. So it was not a big rush thing. She was very calm about it. And we made it there plenty of time. I think it took, 6 or 8 hours or something. So that's the only thing I recall is just being a little confused about this water issue. And I never asked anybody about it, so I still didn't know. But I'm just thinking, like, am I supposed to go by her office and clean something up? I just
Shop
didn't
vac.
know.
You know,
Yeah, well, I mean, there's something I'm supposed to do that I
Right.
didn't, study on. But
I heard this story. I don't remember, but I think my mom had just gotten me home. My grandmother, she's over there helping take care of and all this stuff. And apparently mom had a bad labor that she likes to remind me of constantly. Right. Oh, yeah. You know where I was 50-some years ago? Yes, I know. At the brink of death. But anyway, so my grandmother, who was she was a little unusual. She decided, as she apparently is changing one of my diapers, that I, had some more in me, that she didn't want to mess up another diaper. So at like a day or two old, she goes in, takes and sits me on the toilet seat. So my mom gets up to come in there and hear about what all the commotion is.
Was it a potty seat or was
no,
it
like the full commode.
Oh, yeah.
And something happened, and the next thing that I was told was my head flopped over and either hit the toilet paper holder or a door cabinet or something, and my mom blacked out. So here my grandmother is. She's got me buck naked crying and screaming, and now her daughter laying in the floor just, passed out.
All this around a commode.
All this around the commode in the bathroom, yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm not surprised at all
I know.
about this story.
Maybe it explains a few things, right?
It does explain a few things, but I'm not surprised at all. Okay, interesting. This was a nice little condensed front porch visit, but typical of a group of men. This is a strange kind of topic to broach, but we broached it and we made it through, and there you go. It makes up for last week's hour and a half long front porch visit about our hometown. And that was it. I'll have to edit something into this. I'll get some pieces out of that last one and put in here. But okay, we're going to move along. We're going to take a break, come back, talk about some stuff we found in the Bible. Hope you stick with us.
You may have seen people wearing Mike the Baptist t-shirts or hoodies lately and wondered to yourself, hey self, where could I get some of that bling bling? Well, tell yourself not to worry, because it's easy to order Mike the Baptist logo tees and hoodies for yourself or your family and friends. Visit MikeTheBaptist.com, click on the merchandise link, and shop away. Lots of colors and sizes to pick from. And now available, I'm Just a Christian Trying Not to Cuss tees and hoodies. Mike the Baptist is all about real talk with real people, spreading the good news to a world who can really use some good news right now. When you purchase Mike the Baptist tees and hoodies, you're helping Mike and the crew pay the bills to keep Mike the Baptist on the interwebs and talking about God's love for all people. It's really that simple. And we make no apologies for having fun and living out the Christian life. Order your tees or hoodies today with just the logo or familiar sayings you hear on Mike the Baptist episodes. Just visit MikeTheBaptist.com and click on merchandise. Thanks so much for watching and listening to Mike the Baptist and for your support in helping us spread the good news. What a great planet.
Hey, we're back. Going right into talking about stuff we found in the Bible. What other introduction you need than that? Should be good, correct?
That sounds like a good place to go.
Talk about it, H.
Well, this is a very important week for us because we're right at Easter Sunday, and some people get offended, so we're right at Resurrection Sunday. But the story of Jesus giving his life for us, I mean, there's no other way for us to be a Christian except Christ would do that for us. And one of the characters that we read about, especially during this week, that's kind of troubling is Judas. He's one of the original 12 apostles that's followed Jesus through 3 years of earthly ministry. And then right here at the end, he's the guy that goes up and betrays Jesus, kisses him in the garden, and gets the 30 pieces of silver, and then regrets, honestly, that he had betrayed Christ, and tries to go back and kind of undo, his mistake, which is actually a real good picture of what a lot of us try to do. We think, if I could just go back and undo that, then I would be okay. But Judas is so distraught that he, instead of coming back to Christ and asking for forgiveness, he commits suicide. And he never really got that opportunity to be forgiven. And it's a good reminder to us that we all have a need for forgiveness. And so I just kind of want to talk about that a little bit, about why forgiveness is so important. What can we do to get forgiveness? How do we know we need forgiveness? And, why is that an important thing for us to do?
Mm-hmm. There's some some words in there that I you might want to buzz. I was thinking about,
Okay.
Just
Preemptive buzz.
want to add that in there. You ask a lot of questions.
I know, I'm sorry.
You said, no, don't be sorry. It's okay. One of the things, talking about when do you recognize or how do you know, what did I do? Oh,
Just a little farther
that.
away.
Okay.
Just a little farther.
Sorry. I'm getting comfortable in the
No,
chair.
no.
The recognition that you need forgiveness is the word conviction. Is I don't know if that's, I don't know. I was just trying to save you time so you can be
Thanks.
prepared. It's one of those things that I think when you become a believer, you've said it recently in a message how everything doesn't just automatically change. It's not that it can't change, but the thing that does change is that you become more cognizant of when you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. Your attitude's not right, your behavior's not right, but you didn't recognize it before.
Right.
And now you have that word conviction. You have that. There's a weight on your shoulders, or you recognize it faster. And I think that's the first thing about that is it's God sharing with you, God saying to you, you knew that was wrong. You knew you didn't need to do that or shouldn't have done that or whatever. And it's also a point of recognizing that you're not in control. And I think asking forgiveness is one of the hardest things that people struggle with, because it's like you're standing there in front, you recognize you're standing there in front of God, and he sees it all and knows it all. And all it takes is for you to say, forgive me, because I recognize that, and that's a big deal for people.
Yeah. Y'all remember the show Happy Days? And when the Fonz had to say he was sorry, and that whole, that whole
couldn't get it
episode,
out.
he
Yeah.
couldn't actually say it. Forgiveness is not only required, but it's also prescribed, commanded for us to do for other people, because we've been forgiven so much, and we constantly need to be forgiven. And if anybody's listening to our program today that's not a church-going person, or they worry about forgiveness, anybody can be forgiven of anything. There is the only unpardonable sin, so to speak, is that you reject Christ over and over and over and over again. And I think that's even forgivable until you take that last breath. I mean, you have that opportunity to be forgiven. But I think the thing that, as I read Judas's story, that really is perplexing to me. Matter of fact, somebody came up to me recently in church and said, "Do you think Judas is in heaven or hell?" And I said, "Well, maybe this should be a, Inny or Outty." I said, "I believe he's in hell just from a standpoint. Jesus said it would have been better if he had never been born." Well, he wouldn't have said that about somebody that's going to end up in heaven. But still, the stark contrast between Judas and Peter. Judas betrays Jesus, but so does Peter. Peter denies he ever knows him. Matter of fact, 3 times, and in the Greek, it's almost as he cursed. I don't bleeping know him. It's not just I don't know who that guy is. I mean, it was 3 accusations that I'm not with him, and yet the difference in these 2 lives, Judas didn't wait for the resurrection and the opportunity to go ask and be forgiven. Peter, crushed by his sin, dealt with his sin and was restored by Jesus. And so, again, I think the picture there is, if we are willing to bring our sin to Jesus, regardless of what it is, he's willing and able and desires to forgive us, but we've got to give it to him. Got to.
So that takes recognition that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Which is the hard part.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Fonz was saying. Not, "I'm sorry, wrong. That was it. Wrong. I was wrong." He couldn't say that.
Well, I mean, getting to that place where you could say that is the hardest part of it, but it's actually always good once you finally do that.
Yeah.
You immediately recognize that it was a good thing to do. And you know what? I know a lot of Christian people, and if any of them told me that they didn't need to ask for some sort of forgiveness every day, I would question.
Yeah.
Not their Christianity, et cetera, et cetera. But I would question their authenticity, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I think if you've ever dabbled in this stuff, any at all, you realize fairly quickly that you're never going to be perfect, and every day you wake up the same person you were the day before. Albeit, I think you do learn as you go, and maybe get better at not being such a cull as you get older and get more experience in how to do this stuff. But anybody that would ever tell me they don't ever do anything, and almost every day, I don't believe that. I wouldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that.
Well, I mean, we forget how deep sin affects us. It's not just hey, I didn't murder anybody today, or I didn't lie, I didn't steal something today. I mean, it affects how we think about people. I mean, if we're riding down the road and somebody cuts us off and we're under our breath, what an idiot. I mean, basically the Bible says, don't say rock-eye, don't call your brother a fool. And I mean, all the things that sin affects, our thought life, the things that aren't visible, but they're still sin. And then those are just the things that we shouldn't be doing. What about the things that we should be doing and we don't do it? God,
which the Bible also says,
yes,
talks about as being sinful.
Yeah, if you know it's right to do it and you don't do it, then that's a sin as well.
You think maybe just the word sin trips people up in this faith business?
Maybe.
Because I'm sitting here thinking that the sin word can be really kind of a legalistic thing. I was in a recent Connect, what will I start calling it? Sunday Connect class, and we were talking about a lot of this stuff, and I was thinking a lot of the time during that discussion, I can't keep up with the rules, regulations. I don't have a day planner. I can't keep, there's so much to keep up with, and this sin is a category to me of that. Where's the list? Give me a list I can carry around in front of me. There's not a list I can carry around in front of me, and there's so many things that could be categorized as sin. How do you keep up with that? So I guess you don't really. I don't know that you can. It's like the people I was talking about that might say, I didn't do anything wrong today. I can't believe that because there's so much.
And is that not what the Pharisees were?
Yeah.
Where they had their list of 600 and something.
Yeah, something crazy.
Rules.
So they had a list.
Yeah, but that wasn't really what the
it was really, that list was to protect the law.
Yeah.
They had this list of things so that you wouldn't swear, so that you wouldn't do something on the Sabbath day, and so that you would remember your mom and dad and honor them. So they were trying to put bumper guards up to keep you from even affecting the law in any way, because then that would have been really bad. And they miss what it means to be a follower of God, because you can't keep all these rules. Paul talks about the rules, the law, is basically there to show us how bad we really are. That's what its responsibility is to show us how utterly impossible it is for me to fix myself. Now I need a superhero. Now I need somebody above myself. My pay grade has been maxed out. I need somebody that can do something for me that I can't. And that's why we come back to this week of what Christ has done for us. When he hangs on the cross and he dies for us, he's paid a penalty that we could never pay. He's done something for us that we couldn't do for ourselves. And it's kind of an amazing thing that on the cross, the co-eternal God, Father and Son, Jesus uses these words and he says, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Now, that basically says in that moment that God the Father sort of turned his back on his son because the wrath of God for sin was being poured out on him. But he does that so that he would never have to turn his back on us, which is kind of an amazing thing, that God was willing to go through that himself so that we could be forgiven, so that we could be fully loved, so that we could live eternally with him forever. And I think that really should help us understand what he has done for us. There's been a great price paid, and I think we really don't celebrate it enough, and we really don't think about it enough.
That's an amazing statement that he said from there.
Yeah.
About why have you confusing a little bit.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of thought
Yeah.
to kind of process that, doesn't it?
Yeah. Been reading a lot of commentary on that, and it's not as if Jesus is saying, you failed me, or I can't trust you. One, it's a tie back to Psalm 22, which is a messianic prophecy. So one, he's tying himself to that, but it's also the reality that in his humanness, the emotional toll of what sin had done to him, he felt alone. And in some ways, he was. Several years ago, this thought just came to my head, that on the cross, the God-man, think about this, Jesus comes from heaven, descends to the earth. On the cross, the God-man is neither in heaven nor on earth.
He's suspended.
He's suspended in between both of them. Kind of lost in either world because of what sin had done, But again, comes back to that reality of why should we worship him? Why should we praise him? Because of what he's done for us.
It's that paying the price kind of thing for you.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's fascinating, too, that he said if there's another way to do this,
Yeah.
could you maybe consider that?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially since he was part of the planning. I mean, this didn't catch him off guard.
Yeah.
So it's a good reminder that we've been given a gift, and that's the sad part for people that don't receive this gift in him. I've been also studying and thinking through when Jesus rides into town on that Palm Sunday, and he rides in on a donkey, which basically they understood in their world that if a conquering king rode in on a donkey, that he was riding in as a peaceful king. I'm coming in to be your king, but I'm not coming in to war over you. I'm going to be your king. You're going to follow me, and we're going to have a peaceful peaceful coalition here. If he rode in on a stallion, on a horse, that meant he was the warrior king coming in to take us over. Here's the sad thing again. If he came as our gentle king and we don't accept him, you need to accept him now, by the way, because if you don't accept him now, he's coming back on a war horse. Mm-hmm. And when he does, you will receive the wrath of God. Whereas when he rode in on the donkey, he was willing to receive the wrath of God. But if we wait, he's coming back, and then we'll receive the wrath of God. I don't know about you, but I know I'm pretty much a jerk, so I know I don't want God's punishment. I'm sorry that Jesus had to take my punishment, but I'm glad he did, because I couldn't have withstood it. Yeah. Nobody could.
And it would come down really heavy on you.
He would come down heavy on me. It is what it is.
It is what it is. But I can speak from a kindred spirit here about some of that stuff.
Well,
are you where you were trying to get to? Where did you start out?
We've been all over the place.
We have been all over the place. You started out talking about forgiveness.
We did.
Yes. Okay. Just wanted to point that out. Did you miss anything? Maybe that's what I'm getting at. Did you miss anything that you wanted to cover?
So Neil's the most intelligent person at the table.
Exactly.
So I'm going to let him explain why the evidence
Yes.
of the cross should point us to a place where we can accept that by faith.
Okay.
There are so many things that were spoken in the last 10 minutes, and I kept going back to what you had said about, it's basically about vernacular and using words that the buzzer goes off for
Right.
a lot of times, and trying to share what this is with people that maybe they're not familiar with the language,
Right.
let alone the concept. And it has so much to do with, there's a lot of things, but it has so much to do with control and just realizing that there are aspects of your life that you do have control over, but ultimately you have no control over it. And the control that you have is a choice, whether you recognize God, Jesus Christ, or you don't. And it's such a hard thing to explain. I have a hard time explaining it because I want to get deep in it. But the idea that once you let go, everything is not perfect. I think we said that last time too. We said it multiple times. Once you recognize Jesus Christ as your Savior, everything doesn't suddenly turn into, rainbows and butterflies and all of that. But you see into the reason that you are a believer, the reason that you're here on the earth. You start recognizing those things, and you get so many answers, and all of the weight that you've been carrying on your shoulders, it starts to let go. It starts to, and all it takes is saying, Jesus, I know you're my Savior. That's the primary. Did I answer what you were asking me?
I don't know, but that was good.
Yeah,
what you were
sounds
just
pretty
saying
good
right there. So,
But that's the essence of it, is saying, my life is for you, Jesus. My life is not for me. And following God, Jesus speaking through Scripture, has made it real obvious that all of our abilities, our gifts, our talents, and things are not for us. It's for others. It's and to glorify Him. So it's to glorify Him and edify others, basically, and enlighten them. And that's our purpose. That's what we are here for.
would you think that part of what you do in a church is kind of maybe learning or helping each other figure out how to be interesting as a Christian to people who are not Christians, rather than just in there soaking up all your Christian knowledge and becoming this great Christian and showing off amongst each other how great a Christian you are, and never being able to walk out into society and have that be appealing to somebody rather than just making you look like a nut.
Well, that might not be the word that I wouldn't use the word appealing necessarily, but I always think about, and then chameleon's not the right word either. You need to do, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we need to learn how to use those things in that ratio. You need to listen to what people are saying twice as much as we talk to them. And listen is a whole lot more than just, I heard the words going in.
Yeah.
It's understanding what people are saying and be able to respond.
So you understand more about how to fit into a situation.
Yes, I think that's kind of what you're.
I think that's what I was asking.
I know that people get very frustrated when they become a believer and they can't answer all the questions.
Yeah.
And not just at the beginning. I mean, it's continual. It's like the more you know, the less you know. And I felt that way when I was in school. And the more I knew about the Bible and all the details in it and everything, it was like, oh, I can wrap my arms around it. No, I can't.
Yeah.
Because it just got bigger.
The second you start thinking you've got it down, you run into somebody who knows a whole lot more than you do.
Right.
It's like, oh,
Right.
okay.
And then not being proud of the knowledge either.
Yeah.
That's
Well, we kind of started off our conversation with funny things that happened with the birth of our first child. Well, all of us have had at least a second child. And I would say that all the knowledge that I gained with the first one didn't change the fact that I was still torn up about the second one, and had a different relationship, a different love, but it doesn't make it any less important. It doesn't make it any less just because I've had one kid, I know what I'm doing, I know how. No, I knew some things, but I didn't know a whole lot more, because it just changes. And I think as important as we go to church, as important as things like education are, and as important as learning to praise, learning to sing, learning to worship, and all that stuff, Paul talks about looking at all that stuff in his life, and he says, I look at all this stuff and I count it really as nothing more than rubbish in comparison to just knowing who Christ is. And I would say that, I love playing Inny and Outty. I love learning new things. But you know what? It's not about knowing new things. It's about knowing Christ in a deeper, more profound way. It's not just so that I can be a know-it-all and say, oh, I knew that was there, or I knew that wasn't there. It's we know more about who Jesus is, and it does confound our brain. And I think we'll stand in heaven one day, and we'll scratch our head and go, why did he let me in?
Yep, you'll still be.
Why
maybe more so.
did he let
More
me
so.
in? Why am I here? I don't deserve this. I'm a real tool, and he loved me, and I don't know why. So I think the more that we study, the more that we experience, the more that we come to know there's this greater, vast unknown out there that confounds us even more. So it's not just a lifestyle. It's not. There's a person that we fall in love with. All of us, we've been married a while, and we've seen our wives change over time. Our kids change over time, but there's a depth of our love that we have for them that just continues to grow. And so how much more so is it going to be with God, who's perfect? My wife can love me, and I'm not so perfect.
She said that.
I know, right?
I've heard her say that.
She deserves an award.
This morning. I think she said that this morning. No, it's complicated, but it's not. Everybody I've ever ran into, or I just think everybody's looking for peace, inner peace. You're looking for peace. You hear people say, I'm looking for meaning, but I think you're looking for meaning because you want that settled inside, inner peace. This is the only thing I've ever found that has actual peace attached to it.
Absolutely.
Just actual peace. So if you know at your core that you're saved, I'll buzz that, that's churchy. But I think if you know that you're saved and you understand that you'll never be perfect, there's a great peace that comes from that. And it's not a peace that gives you the freedom just to keep doing things that you don't think you should be doing.
Right.
It's a peace that helps you be more relaxed and able to let yourself be changed, I guess is the word. Change is kind of... Anyway, peace.
Right.
People are looking for peace.
Yep.
And understanding. Yeah, I don't think you'll ever really get total understanding while you're on the planet. There's just too much.
When we're in Christ, we have purpose. And I can look back over my life. I enjoyed accounting. It was okay. I enjoyed my businesses, enjoyed my customers, enjoyed people I worked with. It was okay. But I can say what I'm doing now is more fulfilling. And so that's kind of like coming to Christ. I mean, there's a lot of people in this world, they can enjoy a little bit of life. Yeah, they can be married, they can have kids, they can go to ball games, they can go to work and make money, and they can enjoy a lot of life, but they really have no purpose. When you come to Christ, your life has purpose, and that's that peace that you're talking about. It's now I don't have to be the top dog in the organization. I can just be one of the dogs, and I'm okay because that's who God made me to be, and I'm doing what He wants me to do, which is a whole lot more important than what I wanted me to do. So
could talk.
Don't knock it till you try it, right?
Don't knock it till you try it, and it's been said here before. Try it.
Yep.
Give
You
it a
might
try.
like it. What's that, Mikey? You might like. Give it to Mikey.
Yeah,
He'll like.
No, that's give it to Mikey. He'll eat it. He'll eat anything.
He might like it.
Mikey, he likes it.
Yeah.
They said.
Yep.
Give it a try. You might like
Eternal life. Give it a try.
it. Life. That was the cereal.
Right? I know.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
Yeah, coincidence. It's just coincidence. Take a break. Come back. Play Inny or Outty. Loosen things up a little bit, or a lot.
Hey everybody, it's time to play America's almost favoriteest new game show, Inny or Outty, where we challenge our guests to figure out if a phrase we give them is actually in the Bible or out of the Bible. Sharpen your wits, guest. You're about to be in the hot seat of Bible stuff, because you're the next contestant on Inny or Outty. Here's Mike.
Today on Inny or Outty, Neil Andrews is in the power seat once. Brother Hodo's in the power seat. And I have two opportunities to be on the losing end. Oh. Excuse me, that's my camera. Give me an alarm.
I was looking over at HD.
I was like,
Okay.
You didn't have your ringer turned off?
I'm going to leave that in there so you can see that we are just real.
I think they've already figured that out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, but anyway, I'm glad to get the alarm to remind me to do something later. So, all right, Inny or Outty, Neil, HD, power seats, me. I'm vulnerable today, 2 times in a row. I'll try not to let you down. Neil, what do you have?
I have realized that the last few times we've done this, we're very minutia oriented. We're very
I've noticed that.
specific.
Did you notice that,
A
H?
lot of individual words that we're going, is this word in
gotcha.
the scripture?
Gotcha.
We've gotten onto these tiny things.
Got him now.
So I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Hang on a minute. Minutia. It's not.
He learned that at the Chinese restaurant when his child was born.
Exactly.
I want a green tea and a
minutia.
bowl of minutia. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so I had a little longer passage. It's not long, but this is more than one word.
Okay.
So
Minutia is more than one word.
no, that's one word.
Sounds like more than one word.
Men plus Usha.
Okay. Is this in or out?
Okay.
And behold, he cometh with 10,000s of his saints to execute judgment upon all and to destroy the ungodly.
Well, it sounds pretty authoritative.
Well, you can put ETH on the end of any word. And
You can make it
soundeth
authoritative.
King Jameseth.
He comes with 10,000.
10,000s of his saints.
It comes.
He comes.
He comes.
He cometh.
He cometh with
10,000s of his saints to execute judgment upon all and to destroy the ungodly.
Wow. I'm almost afraid to say one way or the other. You know, it's one of those.
That's kind of the game show, though.
It is. It is. That's the whole premise. Wow. I don't even have a gut reaction because my gut is even nervous to answer that. Something about it makes me think it might not be in there.
Yeah. You know, Neil's getting ready to go back to Ireland. It sounds like one of those Irish thingamabobs.
It does. Oh, it does.
Yeah.
It sounds like something you might say on a hill in a kilt.
That's Scottish.
That's Scottish.
Oh, okay.
That goes with haggis.
You're talking about Ireland. It
Yeah.
sounds like something you might say in a potato field. Is that better? In a kilt. Wait a minute.
Ricola. Is Ricola? Is that,
Ricola. That's
No,
Switzerland.
That's
Oh.
Yes, Switzerland.
well, we're really intelligent folks, right?
Exactly.
We
We
don't
need
get
Inny
out
or Outty
much.
more than anyone. I think it sounds a little too dramatic.
Yeah. The 10,000 threw me.
Of his saints,
10,000.
not angels. Of
Yep.
his saints. Are there 10,000 saints?
When they go marching in,
Saint
maybe?
Paul, Saint.
There
No,
are
Saint
only
Paul's a town.
144,000, right?
Yeah, there's
Saint
144,000.
Saint
He's
Patrick.
short by 134,000. it just sounds. It sounds too good to be true.
Sounds Braveheartish to me.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's kind of.
Isn't that a movie?
Yeah,
believe
it's
so,
Scottish.
yes.
It's
Yeah.
Scottish. But
Mel Gibson.
back to your kilt.
That's not
You're stuck in the
I
kilt.
just wanted to work a kilt in there
Right.
somewhere
In your
because they're
haggis.
so funny. You know, in Washington D.C., we ate at this Irish pub thing that was in the hotel several times because we didn't want to travel all over the dangerous city. But they had this potato thing. My daughter tells me it's like a, I don't remember the fancy French word. It's like a potato, what's the fluffy pastry thing? Like,
Croissant.
sort of. Anyway, it's potatoes that are
Falafel?
fluffed up somehow. But anyway,
Mashed potatoes.
I don't know why I brought this up.
Potato chips.
Never mind. Carry on. I was
Potato
just
boy.
curious if y'all had heard of that, but I can't remember
don't
what
think
it is to tell you.
No.
I don't think you've heard of it.
Well, I kept
you're-
seeing it.
Can you call your daughter?
It was
and
a
ask her what
potato.
she was-
Back to Inny or Outty.
Man,
I don't think it's in there. I think it's too movie-ish.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you. I think it's an Outty.
We think that's an Outty, Neil.
okay. Well, so this is kind of a trick question because it depends on what church you would go to.
Oh wow.
It is in some Bibles. And earlier you mentioned the Apocrypha.
Mm-hmm.
So that is in the Apocrypha.
Gotcha.
So it's not in our Bible, but it was in there. It's Enoch.
Enoch, the book of Enoch.
But wait, we're right, technically.
Correct.
You
'cause
are,
It's not,
yes.
it's not in the Holy Scriptures.
It's in the book of Enoch,
Yes.
next to the book of Earl.
It's actually next to the book of Susanna.
Susanna, see?
And we used it. So the church that I was at, someone had presented the church with a large Bible, like one of the big ones, and it had the Apocrypha in the center of it. And the youth pastor and I used to take turns. It was out in the foyer. We used to take turns opening the book to the book of Bel and the Dragon and seeing if anyone would notice. It was intriguing.
Did they?
Occasionally.
So, yeah, occasionally they would.
Yeah.
Hey, one of the Gutenberg Bibles is in the Library of Congress. We stood and looked at that for a while. It was just kind of astounding to stand there and look at that. I think it's one of six.
How old that
five or
is.
six.
Are there that many?
I think there were 5 or 6 that
Wow.
existed or something. I forget how it was. But that's kind of astounding to sit there and look at that thing, thinking, that's kind of fascinating.
Was it him or Tyndale that was like drawn and quartered and then burned and then it was like
I think it was Tyndale.
they did everything to that poor man's body they could do to get rid of it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We won.
Hey,
You were right.
We have a win.
There you go.
That's
Okay,
the way,
Steve,
that's the
power
way
seat.
it needs to go.
You're in the power seat.
That's the way it needs to go. I got to get back to my notes here.
Just the way it is.
That's the way it is.
That's the way.
Some things will never change.
I was looking for the next line there.
So
Oh, but don't you believe it?
we know
Bruce Hornsby.
Bruce Hornsby, yes.
we know
Sorry.
Jesus was crucified on a cross,
Mhm.
and it has been stated that anyone hung on a tree was cursed. So that was part of the prophecy that showed how he was going to die. So, of these 4 trees that are mentioned in the Bible, which one of them is not in the Bible? Lime, maple, apple, palm. Which one of those types of trees is not in the Bible? Lime, maple, apple, palm.
Well, first question, Neil. Did they make pancakes? No, I have a reason.
You know, in Ireland, they use pancakes for dessert.
Well, you could use the
Not
ones I make for
breakfast,
dessert
but-
because I got a bunch of sugar in them. It's like a little
Yeah.
cake.
And butter.
And butter.
And butter.
Yeah.
Where's that butter? Stick of butter. You
It's
get
over there.
That's,
It's
man,
my Christmas ornament some people bought me.
that's nice. My first inclination would be maple.
That was mine. Well, actually, my first inclination was lime because it just seemed so odd. But then
Did they put that in the Coronas?
What?
a lime on,
Yeah, in the Corona.
on the beach at the Dead Sea. I can't see that commercial happening, but
Corona.
Yeah,
he's referencing TV commercials.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Beer. But beer's in the Bible, so I guess
yes,
you
it
can
is.
get away with that joke. Wait a minute. Who asked? You asked the question.
I did.
No, you asked the
did.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maple because I don't know why, but lime is odd, but I think it's probably in there.
I think, and it's for some reason, is that kaffir?
Well, yeah,
Kaffir.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
think that's
absolutely. What is kaffir, H?
The fear of calves.
No.
Kaffir.
It's. I thought that was lime. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. Never mind.
Lyme disease is from ticks.
I'm insecure now. So.
I'm insecure now.
What's the question?
Which one of those
Four trees?
4 trees is not in the Bible?
I think I'm kind of with you, maple. I don't really know why.
So we
but
had, what were the other 3?
lime, palm,
Maple, apple.
apple.
Now, apple was a
Palm.
little curious to me though, because wasn't there discussion on here one time about when apples, or was the fruit in the Garden of Eden an apple?
Right. It was
Or was
painted.
an apple like a later thing?
It was painted that way, but it was not.
It doesn't say.
Right.
But now, in that discussion, didn't we discover that apple was mentioned somewhere else in the Bible, or was that unicorns?
The ones that got left off the ark, right?
Yeah. It's either apple or maple, I think. One of the PLEs. But your initial reaction was maple. I think I'm going to go with you with maple. I think it's maple. Is that correct? Is that what we're both thinking? I mean, is that what we're thinking? Is that correct?
He jumps out
what
there.
I'm thinking.
He goes, "That's what we're going with." Is that right? Is that right?
Do we
go with
think
you on
maple
that.
is an Outty?
I initially thought that. Now the longer I think about it,
Actually, you guys are correct.
Yes.
Maple is the Outty.
I'm glad you got to that before we talked this.
So there are limes, trees, apple trees, and palm trees in the Bible.
Lime. Do you know where lime trees were mentioned in the Bible?
Not right now.
That's something
I'd like
to get back.
I need to
with
do
that
my
one, too.
research a little more
No,
diligently.
I'm always going to ask you odd questions, so you'd be researching all
Well,
day.
I've got to be prepared.
So, maple. So, okay. So they didn't have pancakes then. If they did, they were dry.
They
Or chocolate
put
syrup.
honey on them.
Blueberries and whipped cream. No maple syrup. Okay, Funducational once again, always is. Neil's looking up something. I'm going to give him just a second here to
yeah.
see if he's
Well,
got-
I was looking here. Kaffir lime is one of the names of a citrus fruit native to tropical countries in South and Southeast Asia. So it is related. That's why.
So they would have had them back then.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I never would have thought a lime would have been in there.
They should have had some of that kaffir.
They should have. They might have had.
Depends on how big the calf is.
You wouldn't have had the golden calf. You'd have been afraid of it, and then that'd have been better off.
Oh, yes.
This is so odd at times,
Takes a tangent,
but it's
doesn't it?
perfect. It does take a tangent. Is tangent in the Bible?
There are
Stay tuned.
tangents in the Bible.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Speaking of stay tuned, we're going to take a quick break, come back and tell you goodbye in a nice, proper, civilized fashion.
So long, farewell. Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.
Like that.
Or good night.
Only different.
Oh, wow. What a great contestant and a fine sport today on Inny or Outty, America's almost favorite new game show. Study up, future guest people. You're next in the hot seat for Inny or Outty.
Hey, thanks. So,
Easy for you to say.
Two.
hey, thanks so much for joining us on Mike the Baptist. We appreciate it when you show up and give us the opportunity to be foolish. But you know what? There's something in the Bible that talks about foolishness being used for good. So if I had a feather, I'd stick it in our caps right now for foolishness. Being used, who knows? Maybe someday we'll know. Either way, thanks for being here, Neil Andrews,
Thank you for having me.
H.T. Jones.
Good times.
Another good little vocal romp on Mike the Baptist. That just sounds odd, doesn't it? But
Feels like we're playing Scrabble.
it does in a way. Yeah, that just brings up all sorts of new concepts. Hey, look, we'll see you next time. Remember, we're all just Christians.
Trying not to cuss.
Yes. And how are you doing? Send us an email. Comments at MikeTheBaptist.com. And let us know if you cuss and what you said. We'll read it live on the air.
You might get some responses to that, too.
You might. I may have opened a can of worms right there. See you next time.
Mike the Baptist.